it was kind of that point where I was like, okay, like I need to start eating. And like, if I'm going to eat, I'm going to eat good. Like I'm going to be really, really careful. But I always had this dream of competing in bodybuilding. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to eat well. I'm going to go to the gym and I'm still going to be ripped and I'm still going to be small. And I was very small. I tend to put on muscle pretty easily, but when you don't eat, it's kind of just like bone and muscle. It doesn't look nice. So essentially, once I was 24, I was like, okay, like I started prepping and I was pumping my body full of supplements. I was overtraining. I wasn't eating enough. And my body was telling me like, you're done, like, stop.
You were training for the competition, for the bodybuilding,
Mm-hmm.
but you were not giving your body enough nutrition to sustain that sort of rigor when this sort of requires.
Yeah. And your body will tell you, like, hey, you're not doing all right. And that was a big thing for me. So I stopped, like completely stopped. And around that same time, I met my current boyfriend, who's amazing. And he just kind of accepted me. Like, he didn't care what my weight was. He didn't care. He didn't care. Like, go out and eat, go out and like have a few beers and enjoy it. And don't worry about like not eating the next day because you ate so much the day before. And that was game changing for me. So 2 years in, I guess, I did, like, I ate, I didn't really care. And I gained a bunch of weight, which was needed. But then I still had this goal of competing. I had to fulfill it. It's one of those things. I'm a competitive person, but I still love, seeing everybody else succeed. But I finally did it. And you have to pay to, get your entry into the competition. So I was like, that's the way I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going to pay for the entry. I'm going to sign up, and that's how it's going to go. Like, I'm stuck in it. I can't get out of it now. So my prep lasted way too long. It was about 6 months. And I started off I gained up to about 160, like 160 pounds, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
And then I had to start like really pulling everything in to get those muscles popping and everything. And I was in the gym 2 to 3 times a day, and in crept that little chip on my shoulder that's like, okay, like, you're not going to eat anymore. So I started pulling, old habits crept back in, and eating issues became a problem again. But like, it was too late for me to pull out of that competition. So I still prepped. I ate very little. I over supplemented, and about a week out, I stopped eating completely from my competition. So I had a week to go. Typically you pull back your food and your nutrition intake quite a bit, but not that much.
And it's a requirement to pull back a little bit, but you pull back completely, which is not required, was an extreme, and it came from your behavior. I'm glad you're mentioning it, because I often see people just sail through the transformation, but don't mention what their relationship or the social script which is there. You have there, we have our own growing up. Like, there are social structures and scriptures how you should behave, look, or a standard of beauty, a standard of accepted behavior. And it influences us. Like, we can be successful, but in our mind, somewhere we have this chip on our shoulder which we don't address. Most of us don't address, or it takes a lot of work. And us don't even correlate those two things.
No. And, it really didn't. I think I've really processed it now, knowing like a lot more about nutrition. But, like I stopped eating completely a week out. So I was hungry. I didn't look very good. I was uncomfortable, not in the best mood. And on top of that, like, I stopped drinking water 4 days out. And so the day of the competition, I was completely dehydrated, completely, like starving, and not in a good mood to step on stage and have to smile through it. And another thing that, most of your coaches will tell you with bodybuilding, and whether you choose to do it or not, they will tell you to take your birth control straight through. So you're just pumping your body through with like more and more birth control, so that like your mood stays the same, you don't get a period, all that kind of stuff. And it messes up your system like completely. And it took months for me to like try and get my body back to normal, which we're still working on. But day of the competition, I walked, I smiled my heart out. I got this orange fake tan. it was gross. It got on everything. I had crazy makeup on in this tiny little bikini, and I walked the stage and I thought I killed it. I still think that I did well, but like it was hard. It was really, really hard to do that. It was a confidence boost. But then come placing and judging, I didn't place top 3. I got top 5, but didn't get top 3. And the judges' notes to me were that, my abs were too thick. And that my right glute had that's another story, but I had an injury to my right butt cheek like a long time ago, and it's a very obvious injury. So I got judged on that. I got judged that, my legs were too thick. You've seen the picture. Like, I was tiny. So getting off stage, I was so bugged about it, being a competitive person. Like, I was so bugged, and I felt like crap. I got off stage in between prejudging and placing, and I had the worst headache, and I genuinely thought I was gonna like pass out. It was horrible. It was an awful feeling. And the girl that won walked in with Carl's Jr. burgers and started eating them in front of us. And I was like, oh my gosh, what? And I remember having a sip of orange juice, and one of the girls was like, you're going to drink juice right now? Aren't you afraid of bloating? And I'm like, oh crap. Yeah, now I am. Thanks for putting that in my brain.
Let me survive first.
Yeah, I want a burger. And you know what? Since that day, I remember leaving the competition. Like, I wasn't in a great mood. I was with 2 of my friends that helped me through prep. I ate 2 burgers, calamari, like 4 beers, just like carb loading my system up. And oddly enough, the next day is when my body actually looked filled and, like more muscle to me. Like, starving myself was not the answer at all. Like, not the answer.
Sorry to interrupt. Were your coach aware that you were not taking enough nutrition, or is it just you doing it? Or
it was me.
Okay.
It was me. Yeah. And like, they would never tell me not to eat. They pulled back my calories significantly, but not to the point of me not eating. Like,
okay.
All I would have is like water and try and flush out my system. And then once I stopped drinking water, my whole body just like, like it was really pulled in, but I was just doing damage to my body. And for, 16 years of, eating disorders and like really struggling with body appearance, it was hard. It was really hard, especially coming out of that competition. So for the last 2 years, I'm 28 now. So I did that when I was 26, almost 29, I guess. But for the last 2-3 years, I've learned just to like enjoy life. Like, if you gain a little bit of weight, it's okay. There's, I don't want, it's so demeaning for, I'm annoyed with myself because I stood on stage and let people judge me, when all I've ever done my entire life is compare myself to other people and compare my body to like these models and these bodybuilder girls who are incredible. And they're amazing for being able to do that for as long as they can. But that competition was it for me. That was the end, and I struggled over the last 2 years since coming out of the competition, but now it's like, I just understand, like, it's okay. It's stop comparing yourself. And it's human nature to judge ourselves against others or compare ourselves to others, like, oh, she's got beautiful hair. I wish I had hair like that. Or, oh, she's got like a great body. I wish my body was like that. But why? Like, just appreciate yourself for who you are and what you've built, because your body's working so hard, to make it what it is. And I don't think we give ourselves enough credit, So with that, and given my past eating issues, this year, especially with like how hard everything's been and COVID and whatnot, I always wanted to take like my personal training and stuff and like nutrition. And this was the year for me to do it. We were in Portugal at the beginning of the year in February. And then when we came back, it was like, bang, like everything shutting down. I was laid off of my job. My boyfriend was still working here and there. And it, he's got this little side business, and I was helping him with these online workouts, and I would do a workout in our living room every day, and we'd film it and we'd do these Instagram lives, and people would watch and kind of connecting with people that way. And that was fun. That was awesome. And we did 8 weeks straight of it every single day, except for Saturday and Sunday. So I was tired, but it was good. And then when was that? It must've been like April, I guess, in between the 8 weeks. I found this nutrition program, which was strictly online, and it's very well known. It's Precision Nutrition. And they had their level 1 nutrition certification. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't really go back to school right this second because, things shut down. Everybody's doing things online. I am going to sign up for this course, and I'm going to learn what I can about nutrition, and maybe it'll help me in the long run. And if I can turn it into a little side business, cool, I'm going to. So I was so invested in it, and it was supposed to be like a 6 to 8 month course. And I finished it in 6 weeks. Like, I finished it so fast because it was so interesting. And there was so many things in there where I was like, wow, like, I didn't know this, and I learned so much about like every little thing about foods and like how to prepare it properly to get like the proper nutrients out of it. And, certain ways to, curb a craving, or, like even down to wine, like red wine, like high in antioxidants. You have your red wine, it's good for you, just in moderation, kind of thing. And it went into detail. I wrote a post on that, and it was quite a hit. But yeah, like just everything that I learned in that course was exactly what I needed for myself, I guess, to like really understand, if you're starving your body full of nutrients, you're not going to live very long. Like, your body needs food. Your body needs water. Like, stop starving yourself, And so it took me a little while to really feel comfortable taking on clients. So I started very small. I put this little ad out, and we have these buy and sell groups here. I don't know if the UK does or not, but we have these little buy and sell groups, and there was a local one in our community. And so I put something out, and I had 2 people reply, which was fine. And so my very first nutrition plan that I made for somebody was so basic, but she loved it. Like, she loved it.
before we go further, right, for the buy and sell group, I like to link in the show notes. Do they have a name? Like
It's just like a walled, like it's just the community. So it's just like buy and sell. I'll send it to you.
yes, I'll just link it into the show if someone wants
Sure.
to go and check out and start doing it.
Yeah, you guys should have one. It's awesome. So yeah, I had a couple of people reply, and I did my calculations for their calories and their macros, and I really understood what their goals were and so on. And it was good. Like, they stuck with me for a couple of months. And then the one lady, like, now I've grown quite a bit more, but and I'm way more comfortable like giving somebody a plan, and I'm like, here, like, I will be your best friend. Like, text me any time of the day if you're curious about something that you want to have and you don't know if you should have it because it doesn't fit into your plan. Message me and let's talk it through. Like, I had a client the other day. She's like, can I have a White Claw today? It's only 100 calories. I'm like, have the White Claw. Like, it's not that strict. Like, if you're craving something, go and eat it, because chances are, if you try and just like chug a bunch of water to try and get rid of your craving and you're still craving it after, you're going to try and eat everything around you to try and like fill that craving. So just go and eat what you're craving. Better for your mind too, like the mental side of things. Go and have that chocolate. But my one client, her goal was to lose 100 pounds by her 10-year anniversary next year, which was huge. So we worked together for a couple of months, and the summer months rolled around, and she took a little break because she, wanted to enjoy summer and have barbecues and blah, blah, blah. And she tried a different plan in between that was a little more, I don't know. I didn't get into specifics too much, but about 3 weeks ago, she had messaged me and she's just like, girl, like, I need you. Like, your plan worked for me. She lost 20 pounds in the first 2 months, which is huge. Like, I would never push somebody to lose that much weight that quick, but it was just how much work she was putting into herself. And it's, even now, like, the plans that I put out there are genuinely, like, I put so much love and effort into it to make sure that, like, if you have a chocolate craving that you can't, or that, like, if you love sweets, I will purposely put it in your plan for you. And you can still lose weight. You can still, reach your goals, even if those foods are in your plan. So on top of that, I really push for, I still struggle sometimes with the body positivity thing. Like, I'm bloated today, but that doesn't change the way that I feel about myself. Like, I'm more confident now, knowing that, like, I had like almost a whole tub of Halo ice cream last night. It's probably why I'm a little bit full. Why I'm a little bloated, but I'm going to eat good today. I'm not going to starve myself. I'm going to eat well today. I'm going to fuel my body, and I'm probably going to go for a couple of walks today, even though it's cold outside,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm trying to, like, how do I ask my personal health related question? Now I have a nutrition coach. Like, just to give a brief, like, in India, like, there is this joke that if you are wealthy or well fed, basically a bit bloated, then you comes from a good rich family. Yes, there are obviously the modeling world where this body image, you have to be petite, you have to starve yourself. There is industry out there, but when you come to a normal family where most people have sedentary jobs, or my family have like all doctors and PhDs and basically nerds all around.
Nice.
Like, yeah, in India it's like either you're a doctor or engineer or a failure. Like, that's how it kind of rolls in that thing. So, but I used to love eating. I used to love, like, eating is such a big part of our culture where I come from. So it was a very, very big part. And your mom used to, like, and we put butter and ghee in our food, like,
Oh, but your food is so good.
good. Yeah, you're a
It's so
procrastinator.
good.
Good. So Yes, we have done most experimentation in kind of food we have than anyone else. I
It's so
feel.
good. It's one of my favorites, honestly.
And then I kind of, when I was in college, second year engineering, there was no accident, but I have this condition that I just could not walk. Like I was paralyzed, and doctor could not
Oh.
actually find out like what's happening to me, whether I'll be walking again or not. Obviously, I eventually got better, but it took few months for me to walk normally, and then years of like continuous physio and everything to get
Mm-hmm.
proper sorted. But by that time I love my food and I used to keep eating. And I just, like, because I was not into sports and I'm into studying and everything, so I reserved a role of an indoor person who will not go out into the society. So I closed myself into the world of book rather than going out. But
Mm-hmm.
the dichotomy was that my interest lies in where I can go and talk to people. But if I go and talk with business and companies, it doesn't matter that image, that body image, my voice will do the work. But that's the narrative I am telling inside. I used to get up in the morning and say in the like, people used to make fun of my weight, but I used to go out and get up and just say in the front of mirror and like, you gorgeous. Like I used to do that for myself. So somewhere down there was an impact but I was adamant enough not to say that no, I don't care about it. So that's the way I was
Yeah.
rolling. Once I came here, I just walked into a gym one day. Like, I need to change. You just start realizing at some point this is not happening. I don't feel good. I feel
Mm-hmm.
lethargic. I don't have, like, what I'm doing just working, and I don't have any energy to do anything else. And I am
Mm-hmm.
not going to sustain, because crashing glass ceilings also takes a lot of energy, especially when you are starting from a very, very male dominated world. So, especially from a culture which I come in, even here, I will say the industry, like most industry, are quite male dominated. To get your voice going, it takes a lot of emotional, and I later have now found out your physical energy is very much required as well, because I equate fitness with performance. But I
Mm-hmm.
went there, and I didn't, for some reason, I didn't wanted to take a trainer. I wanted to find out myself. I have this weird thought in my head. But long story short, in 7 8 months I lost almost 60 pounds, and I did
Wow.
diet.
That's amazing.
But then I got a bit complacent about that. I was eating normal food, like I was eating my own, like, I was not eating extra, but I didn't
Mm-hmm.
cut down on food because I love and live for food to an extent. So I
Yeah.
could not cut that down. But what I did was, like, I was trying just 2 3 hours of cardio to maintain that body, frame. But my
Totally.
nutrition was not good. I was eating junk foods, I was eating chocolate. I was like, as long as I'm UK size 6, or like, which is pretty much 2 size 0s in US, I don't
Yeah.
know size in Canada, I'm fine. But I was not, like, taking good care of my health. I was going
Mm.
to gym, it was helping, but it still was not sustainable. But then I realized there is a balance approach,
Yeah.
and more disciplined I am, more better I perform at my work. So I do get off, like, get off the horse and like just eat like, I have like, oh, I eat a lot of crisp and chocolate. I can't just, and
That's okay.
it's good to hear that even if you do that, it works. I kind of now get very, very tough on myself, that
It's
why.
in moderation. It's hard. It is moderation, and like, girls, like, I get it. Like, those cravings are real, and I am a monster if I can't, like, if somebody tells me no, I'm like, that's not how things work. Like, I want it, I'm gonna have it. And I realized that with, you know if you okay, so if you were to put yourself on a diet, I hate the word diet, but if you were to put yourself on a word, or on the diet, and you're like, hey, I'm not going to eat chocolate. I'm not going to eat chips. I'm not going to eat junk food. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to have wine. I'm not going to have beer. You know, whatever it is,
I can't.
You want it more.
Yes, because you start thinking about them. And
Yes,
in
and
your
it's all
head,
you can think
just
about.
all you think about. Like I have like in very important meetings,
Yeah, that would taste really good right now. Totally. And you know what? I think that's where my style of coaching comes in is, and I coached figure skating too, you know, and try explaining something to a 5-year-old child. It is so difficult. My niece and nephew were 6 and I taught them how to skate too. And just, you know, if you tell them not to do something, they want to do it even more. And it's the same for adults. We're no different. Well, we are different, but we're no different in our brain. Like you tell us that we can't have something, we automatically want it. So in my style of coaching, like go and do it. Go and do it. You know, like if you want to have that chocolate bar, go and do it. But like do something for your body that you will appreciate later. You know, go for half an hour walk, go for an hour walk, go and walk on the treadmill. You know, go and do something for you. Don't dwell on the fact like, oh crap, I just ate a whole tub of Halo Top. But go and do something for you after that your body's going to appreciate, you know. And I'm not a model for that. I will never say that I am, because I eat like crap sometimes, you know, especially going into the winter months. Like in the UK, like I've been there once and it was for like maybe not even 24 hours. We're traveling back from Portugal, so it was just a little stopover. But you know, Calgary, Canada, like it gets gloomy and it's, you know, we have those bluebird sky days and it's great. But in the winter months, you really start to feel those winter blues and you start eating the Christmas treats and like all the yummy foods and the Starbucks holiday drinks, you know, like it's
like the
you crave it.
market of the major company which had hooked this sugar intake into, like, you need
Yeah,
to have sugar to celebrate. Like go in any part
exactly.
of the world, you need to have sugar to celebrate something. Like today is like a big festival starting for us, Diwali. The
Oh, nice.
stories we memes we send each other is of sweetmeats. I was like, you promote health and everything in every culture, from Hallmark to to movies to
Yeah,
everything is just sweets and chocolates. I was like, how do you
I
expect
know.
everyone to control themselves when you are advertising that much on their face? Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, and so I don't know, with all of that being said, like it, go and eat the chocolate. Go and have your sweet treats because you deserve it, you know, and like don't put that much stress on. I just feel as if you're pulling back that much, you're really actually just putting more stress on your body and it really just downs your mood. So like if I don't know, pumpkin pie is going to make you happy, go and eat it. You know, if you're not going to eat it, you're probably just going to sit there and be moody, which like I would pout if somebody took away my pumpkin pie. So
Oh
don't
my
take it away from
God,
me.
I will talk to them like if they do that. That's the thing. Like for me, I'm very disciplined on the exercise bit of it. I will do something physical because I get my that's my stress buster. I think
Mm-hmm.
when I do those exercises. But when it comes to eating, I struggle because I
Yeah.
keep eating junk food and food, but I'm trying to shift in last few months to much more home
Yeah.
cooked whole food. Like one challenge I gave myself, I never have cooked in my life. Never ever. All takeaways and everything. But last 6 months
Mm.
I didn't take a single takeaway. And I cooked
That's
my
so good.
every meal. And everyone who knows me are like, wow. And I was putting all things I wanted to make there, but I put on a weight and I was getting very angry on myself that I have, because I know the journey was really tough on losing those pounds.
Yeah.
And with gym being closed, I was not able to do as much as I normally would have done.
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting angry on myself. I was like, no, let's eat what you want. just like try to change your routine a little bit differently, or try to control 2 days, not
Yes.
5 days.
Yeah. And I mean, even having that treat day, like if it's a Sunday or whatever, where, whatever happens, happens. And I'm going to eat today because that's how I feel, go and do it. Go and do it, and I don't know. You mentioned, how, like certain cultures and stuff, like they put so much pressure on, like, oh, if you want to be like a model, like you're so skinny, and everybody thinks that these models don't eat. Like a lot of them do. A lot of them just have really good metabolisms, and a lot of them work their butts off to look that good, and it's so much discipline. But the societies, like, I love the fact that you said, I'll get up in the morning and look at myself and say, you're gorgeous. Like those words to say to yourself, everybody should be saying that to people. Like, instead of commenting on like, oh, she's gained a little bit of weight. My favorite comment was actually from a family member 3 years ago, where I gained a little bit of weight. And he told me that I looked like a linebacker. Like one of those big burly guys that play football. Like, pardon me? No, that's not what you say to somebody. Like, instead of like starting off a conversation, and social media is so bad for that. Like, you go and read through some of these bigger, higher profiled people, and the comments on their sections are so sad. Like, oh, you shouldn't look like that, or oh, like, go to the gym. Like, instead of that, why don't you try saying something like, you're gorgeous, you look great today, great sweater, something, anything positive. Because once you put that negative, I mean, for some people it drives them a little more, but it can really cause issues, not just like body issues, but like your mental side too, you know? So I feel like people need to say that more often than not. Like, even to a guy, like, hey, you look great today. Hey, you look gorgeous today.
I wish like my parents used to tell me, oh, you're cute, but then all parents think their children are cute, so it doesn't count. They are saying it doesn't count. And I'm dusky complexion, and in India there is a big fetish for fair skin. So if you're not fair skinned, you are not deemed pretty.
That's crazy.
Like, and the opposite, the irony of it is, when I came to UK, when I go to the shopping malls, there are tanning products, tan, and tanning products, the exact opposite of it. And people come to me and say, oh my God, you have such a lovely skin and such a good complexion. I was like, huh.
Thank you.
Like, it's just like, like my first time someone told me that, it's just kind of like, are you kidding me? Because for so many years, over 2 decades of your life, you're hearing you're not pretty because you're not fair. And you hear the exact opposite when you come to a different culture where everyone is fair. Like,
Yeah.
predominantly the natives are fair. And
Yeah.
and they kind of come to say like, oh, this is the skin tone I'm going for. So what I concluded from that, it's just doesn't matter. Just do you, like, do yourself and be you. Because like, I have a thing, I have a policy, I'd never put filter on my personal pictures,
So good.
because lots of people in India predominantly use the filters to get fairer in their picture, which is so sad.
Really?
A lot of my friends, beautiful looking girl, but they will put that, and it's heartbreaking. And there
Yeah.
have been times that I was tempted to do that, but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, and now I only put filters on my food because I like my food to look good. That's
Yeah.
where I put my filter. I'm biased
Yeah.
toward food, but when I take my personal pictures, if I am taking it, I don't put any sort of filter to do anything. So
Yeah.
that's something I personally feel that's a very, very important thing. And I have my own agenda against this fairness cream, or people who feel there is nothing wrong with makeup and feeling pretty good in your skin. But when those advertisements define this is what beauty should look like.
Totally.
Like
And
it.
the thing is with that too, is like touching on makeup and then I'll touch on something else, but like touching on makeup, like I'm perfectly okay not wearing makeup. Like my skin right now is not happy with me because I have been wearing makeup. So I'm like, oh, well, maybe I should wash my face a little more. But when you wear makeup, then you get these people that comment like, oh, like you're so fake because you wear makeup. No, we wear makeup because we want to, like, we feel good. Like we feel confident if we do. And I'm perfectly okay going out wearing no makeup. I don't care. I don't care what anybody else thinks. You know, it's nice when you get a compliment like, oh, you look so good today. Your makeup looks really nice. But I don't care, you know, like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's
And
not
then,
sweet, thank you, but let's move on.
yeah, like, I don't know why you're putting so much, it doesn't matter. Like, I did it for myself. I didn't do it for you, you know? And then there's also these, what is it called? Facetune or something, where girls are actually going in and like fixing their faces to make them look like, oh, like a slimmer jawline or higher
I
cheeks
have
or
heard about them. I have heard about
her
them.
eyes. And I'm just like, okay, so you're giving people crap for wearing makeup, but these girls on social media are being completely phony by going in and fixing the way that their face is. Like, just be confident in, everybody has those crappy days. Like, not everybody looks good all the time. That's okay. But like, just be confident. Be okay with posting, something without makeup, which I should do. Reminds me to do that. But it's, I don't know. That's the big thing with social media. And I was never one to post about something going on in my life or my story or anything, because really I'm so small in the world. Like, I don't matter. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. I'm and people probably don't even care, and that's okay. Like, I'm not posting it for them, but if somebody relates to it, then awesome. Like, let's chat
That's
about
how
it.
you are targeting to. That's what the people you want to go to and
Yeah,
talk about your journey and influence them, help them. And
exactly.
so, like, are you using Instagram as your medium, or are there other sales channels you are using at this point to grow your nutrition business?
um it's, well, I'm awful with Facebook, honestly. And my Facebook is just, it's very personal. Like, it's like family members from a ways, and friends and stuff. And I don't really use it that often. I don't get it. I know, like the influencer summit, that's been really, really cool. And that was one way to connect. And I'm like, okay, like, I'm going to throw myself out there, throw, my boyfriend's business out there, because he's, an entrepreneur as well. So it's, that part was really helpful. But I mean, again, when you comment and be like, yeah, let's connect, and you throw your Instagram handle, that's kind of like your main focus, And I don't know how to get more followers and likes on Facebook. It's not really my thing. So Instagram has been a big one. And I didn't really care to start growing it until recently, because I'm like, okay, well, if you want to follow along, you want to follow along. If you don't care, I don't care. I don't care how many likes I get. I don't care how many people follow me, really. But like, if, I don't know, if you want to talk about something, or you want to do a podcast, or, you want me to help you with nutrition, like, just reach out. And like, I'm a pretty down to earth kind of person. You can talk to me about anything and I'll talk to you, and I'll probably talk your ear off because I don't really shut up. So,
Yeah, you're kind of. We like if we talk, we probably will keep talking for a few hours. Like we will realize probably if you, when we connect on offline.
yeah. Oh God. Yeah. I'm so bad at that. Like, people tell me like, hey, you can stop now. I'm like, I can't. I have so much to say.
Yeah,
But Instagram is Instagram has just been like, it's been huge. And there's so many different platforms out there where, I don't, like, even locally, like, I've reached out to local groups and been like, hey, like, check out a big one. I haven't really focused too much on building my brand necessarily, because I don't even know if it's really a brand. Like, if you want nutrition help, I want to help you. So let's do it. Like, I don't, even if I just put out content to be like, hey, like, this is what a carb is. This is what a protein is. This is what a fat is. Don't be afraid of carbs. Carbs are actually really, really good for you. So stop. If I put something out like that and it gets shared or somebody cares about it and comments or messages me about it, cool. Like, awesome. Like, that's what I did. That's awesome. I don't care if you follow, don't care if you like, whatever, growing my boyfriend's business on Instagram has been a little different because we do care about, getting more followers and more comments and like pushing the product a little bit more. So it's that.
His business, if you don't mind me asking.
What? Yeah. So 3 years ago, he started this business called Sky Bands, and they're resistance bands. They're like the little loop bands. So we started off with that, and then we wrote a book, like an ebook on exercising and, how to take care of bands and how to do at-home workouts with maybe not even bands, but like your body weight or a detergent, like laundry detergent, like use that as a weight instead of going to the gym kind of thing. And so with the Influencer Summit, I kind of threw his business out there a little more than mine because I'm like, well, I want to help him build it. And I think that Skybands has a really, really good background behind it as well. And people need to see it. So I push that a little bit more so that people can see, like, you don't have to go to the gym, especially right now. Like, if you don't want to go to the gym, I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to touch things that other people have touched right now. I'm such a homebody. I really like being home.
Lockdown, so gyms are again closed entirely. Entirely closed. So we are in national lockdown again. Totally.
You guys are?
Yeah, we are again national.
Oh man!
Like, it's winter month.
Did you guys have a lot of cases?
The cases were rising up, and so basically the infrastructure can't support that much. Right. We are all hoping before Christmas it will at least lift, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
And like, it's not great. Like, summer months were still get, you are talking about winter blues. It is like everything is closed.
Oh man.
And for a person who live on their own, like myself, my family is in a different country. It's extremely hard. Like, we friends are supporting each other, but it's so difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, certain parts of Canada have been in or have started lockdown again, like a couple of provinces, but Alberta, like Calgary specifically, we just put in, like, masks were mandatory from like August, which was too late in my opinion. And people, like, all the kids went back to school and people went back to work and everything was opening up again, but you still had to wear a mask. But I think it was too soon, honestly. Like, I think it was a little too soon. And so now, come November, kids have been back in school for 2 months and things have been reopened. We currently in the Calgary zone, I think it was about 3,600 cases in the last like couple weeks. And there's like, I don't know how many people hospitalized, and the death toll has actually risen quite high. So they started putting in more restrictions. So the gyms are still open. Schools are still open. Like grocery stores and like malls, everything's still open except for like bars and restaurants. They have a curfew of 10 p.m., which, like, that's not going to do anything. People are still going to, come around. It's still,
the mix-up is the issue, not the time. Yes, I understand overnighting if you let it go on for a longer time, but the thing is, people are starting early. Like, I live in the city center. I've seen people drunk the first day everything got closed. It was a drunk and literally on the streets at 7 p.m. So just preponing the time doesn't matter. People
no, I know. And I'm just like, just shut down. Like,
either it's a shutdown or a not shutdown. But then again, also it comes to the like how the economy will sustain, because the economy is profoundly suffering. And that's what I just thought. I work for big corporations where I go through their strategies and stuff. I'm like, how can I help? Like, how can I bring the voice and strategies or inspiring stories where people start, where transformation starts? people all only talk about success stories, but then success is so
Yeah.
relative. Success is
Yeah.
where you have come from. Yes, there is one parameter, which is the money bit of it. Everyone ultimately says that's your success, you have arrived. But then it also changes. A millionaire wants to be a billionaire, isn't it? A billionaire wants to be a trillionaire. It's never stop.
Mm-hmm.
That scale goes up, but it's like a balance of it. How you
Yeah.
starts that journey. I'm more interested in that because I'm learning now,
Yeah.
and I want to bring stories like this where people have their experience and something in them click to do that change and start it, because so
Mm-hmm.
often we don't start, we just think about
Yeah.
it. Because I have done it, like I have
Yeah.
been thinking about it. I'm doing it for other organizations, which is great, and I love my job,
Mm-hmm.
love consulting, because I say, like, I go into a business, see their problem and solve it. But then I say think there is a fulfilling part of it, like if I can actually help who are out there and starting up,
Yes.
that will be like I will feel better. Like it's probably a bit self-serving,
Yeah.
like in a way I feel more fulfilled if I can do that. So I take out my extra time.
Yeah.
Working from like 7 a.m. I started my calls and meetings, and directly I come into
Crazy.
it. And I wake up at 4:35 a.m. every day to
Oh.
get things started. But the thing is, I have so much energy because I love what I'm doing now. I like my job,
Yeah.
but I'm loving it more that I'm doing this thing, like one change at a time, I guess.
And that's the thing though, is like it's a like just start. Like what are you at that point, like what are you waiting for? You know, it could be a confidence thing, but it doesn't matter how small you start. Like just do it, you know. If it's it, you know, it could be like a financial thing where it's maybe hard to start out, but like if you take these tiny little steps to, you know, creating those goals, eventually it's going to become into what you really want it to be, you know, especially like you with this whole thing. Like it's cool. Like it's really, really cool. And if you don't take that little leap of faith, like asking somebody like, hey, would you be interested? Or like, you know,
I mean, what the worst, like the person will not reply. That's
yeah.
the worst thing, isn't it? I mean, I don't know about you. You can tell, like, when I do it for my organizations, when I'm doing it for my work, it's very easy for
Mm-hmm.
me. But now it's a bit about my personal values and my voice. It's my
Yeah.
way of doing things. I'm still figuring it out. It becomes more scary. I mean, I'm not scared to talk to a CEO of big organization, but I was
Yeah.
scared to upload my podcast. I was contemplating it for over 2 months before uploading it
Yeah.
there. Obviously,
Yeah.
comparing out, there are world class people out there. So you say that there are body image, but there are so many parallel in every aspect of life you draw.
100%.
Because I was like in my head, oh my God, there are world class people out there who will listen to me. But then I was like, just stop. No
It
one will
doesn't matter.
like us at the first day.
Yeah. You know what? And even if somebody, I don't know, like even if your first like your first podcast or whatever, like nobody listened to it, like doesn't matter. You still put
Doesn't
yourself
matter.
out there,
Exactly. It's your voice.
you
You want to
know?
express your opinion, just
Yeah.
put it out there to the world.
But then you look back on it and you're like, hey, like I did that. Like I'm here now because I did that. And that's, you know, with that first post that I put out there, like it was about my eating disorder, and so many people, I did put that one on Facebook, and the first comment was actually my mom, and she was just like, I am shattered. Like I knew about it, but like reading, like I eventually talked to her about it, eventually, and it was because she kind of cornered me in it. Like she's just like, I know, and I'm like, I know, you know, like you're my mom, you know
You
everything.
know
Of course you
everything.
knew, you know. But like reading her comment, and then she called me right after, just sobbing, and she's just like, it's heartbreaking to hear you actually talk about it, and I'm like, the thing is though that like a lot of the times I can't talk about some of the specifics that I went through because you know it's hard for me to still talk about, but like I don't know, the fact that I got it out there, it was a form of therapy. And you know, I had a friend of mine that I went to school with a long time, like I was in like, I don't know, grade 9 going into grade 10 kind of thing, or in grade 10, I don't know. um he had messaged me, and he's He recently got engaged, which is amazing. But his fiance has really struggled with eating disorders. And he said that he had shown her my post about it, and she ended up reaching out for help and like went and got herself some help because of something that I said, and it like related to her. And he asked, he's just like, if she really struggles again, it is okay if she reaches out to you. I don't know if that's weird. I'm like, of course she can. Like, sure, like talk to me about it. It's totally okay. And she was doing the same thing. Like she is doing the same thing. She's super active and just not eating enough. And she's getting so tiny and feeling crappy. And it's like, yeah, girl, like I've been there. Let's talk. So putting that first post out there and saying like, hey, like these are some of the things that I've been through, whether you care or not, like really put myself out there. Was not expecting the type of like love and feedback that I got back from it. But I started, and that was kind of the first time on Instagram that I was like, I took a nutrition course. I did some courses to better my understanding. And like, if you guys want some help, like, let me know, kind of thing. And that's when I kind of put it out on Instagram. But it was starting. Like I just started, and since that post, pretty much all of my posts are now like a storybook. I'm like really long.
Like, we like stories because I connected because I saw your post, and
Mm-hmm.
I connected on a very personal level, even though you were
Mm-hmm.
talking about a quite opposite spectrum of my scenario, but it
Yeah.
connects. The underlying theme is there, that underlying theme of like today what I'm
Yeah.
talking in the video, I have only talked about this thing with few of my closest friends only.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, I'm put together, I'm in control, I am sort out in my life, I can sort out everyone's together. But the I could open up because you are opening up. That's
Yeah.
first. And
Yeah.
the second thing is, like, I got nervous when I was talking about it because I have never talked about it only with, apart from 2 3 people or 4 or 5 max, I have
Mm-hmm.
actually talked about it. It's not something shameful, but you just get nervous that you are putting it out
Yeah.
there, but then
Yeah.
you start doing it if you want change. So here it is.
Yeah. And I think that, I don't know, not everybody is open, and that's okay. And, some people are ashamed of it, and that's also okay. Like, I'm not stoked that I did that to myself, but I'm not going to lie to people and be like, yeah, my life is perfect. It's not. My life is far from perfect. I go through crap all the time, every day. I have a self battle with myself all of the time. We're humans. If you have a perfect life, like, have you ever really lived? Like if you haven't had some sort of heartbreak or, like physical pain or, been through something or cried about something, like you're not human if you haven't,
I, I
and
I am guilty of doing that. I was that
of course.
person. I was that person who will just keep it all together and not even shed a tear about it, if not on
Mm-hmm.
behind closed doors. And like,
Mm-hmm.
I will keep it all together, but that's not sustainable. You you feel
No.
exhausted after a time. And for
Yeah.
me, and but then you're like, okay, I have to be strong because I'm a woman coming up in a man's world, so I'm not allowed to have those moments, because the moment I do that, I get judged that I am not capable enough of my job. So I'm not
Mm-hmm.
allowed that. So I create a narrative where I kept everything to myself and not expressing the
Totally.
pain and the struggle you go through to reach there, because you have
Totally.
to be 3 times or 10 times better than your male counterpart. And that was a fact.
There is I totally relate to you on that. And it's really cool to hear you say that. I worked for my dad for 13 years, and I was being groomed to take over his big company in Calgary. And he, growing up, I had this conversation with my boyfriend a couple of weeks ago. Like, I feel so, there's times where I feel so weak because I cry over a Hallmark movie, or I cry over the fact that my
Oh my
dog is
God.
so cute. Like, I
I
cry
did.
so easily, and it's because for 13 years I started working for him when I was 13 and stopped when I was, 26, so he had this the thing where he's like, yeah, like, you don't show emotion. Like, why are you crying? You don't show emotion. First off, realizing that I'm usually an emotional wreck, especially with how adorable my dog is. I could cry at that, but on top of that, it was a man's world. There was one other woman that worked for us at one point, and that was it. That was all. I was managing a bunch of guys, and I had to really work on my tone of voice. And when I get excited, my voice goes like 10 octaves higher. It's just the way that I am. Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm so excited, and when I try and sound really smart, my voice goes very monotone. Like, I don't have a low voice, but I can when I'm trying to sound really smart. And that's because my dad like embedded that into me to be like, you need to keep your emotions completely in check, because the second that you let your voice go higher, or if you're dealing with a contractor or a property manager or whoever it is, it's going to be a male. It's going to be a guy. That's the way it is. You're in a man's world. So like, keep it together. Nobody wants that like bottlehead blonde. I hate that expression, but that's what he used to call me. And second, I'm a natural blonde, so it's not a bottlehead blonde. So that's stupid that he even said that. Yeah, like, you are my dad. You should know that. Like, you raised me. You know what color my hair is. But I hate that because society put that on.
Yeah, there are so
as
many
well.
stereotypes. We all have it.
Exactly. So, he said, like, don't be that ditzy bottlehead blonde. Like, nobody likes that. And I'm like, okay, but that's called personality. Like, if I come across as a ditz, everybody has their ditzy moments. It's not just blondes. Like, get over yourself, And so for 13 years, it was like, okay, like, I need to be this like up and coming businesswoman for this big corporation in Calgary. Like, it's just the way
it is.
I was being brought up. So, and then I had guys that worked for us who would be like, oh, Sam is just like PMSing. That's why she's so moody. Oh, do not say that to me. Like, that is not the way to get somebody's attention. That's not the way to like talk to somebody superior to you, and I hate that. Like, I hate that. So I grew up in a guy's world, like, a lot of my best friends were guys, and that's just the way it was. I didn't cry. I didn't talk about my issues because I was always around dudes that didn't care, and now that it's like, yeah, I got a boyfriend. He's great. He'll listen to me sometimes. He might tune me out, and that's okay. It's fine. I'm still talking, but like, I'm not afraid to cry anymore. I'm not afraid to talk about like things that I've gone through, this year I think it was May, like, I went to therapy for the first time and, cried my eyes out the first couple of sessions because I was like, oh my gosh, like, I really haven't like processed any of this stuff. Like, I wasn't allowed to cry about it before. And now, well, I've like ran out of tears to cry because I'm like able to now, kind of thing. And it feels so good. Like, sometimes you just need to cry and talk about it. And that's totally cool. So whether it's like meeting somebody like yourself and me, or, talking to a therapist or talking to whoever, like even my mom, like I had this little meltdown a couple months ago and I don't really cry in front of her. I think I was her child, so she probably would say the opposite thing. Yeah, but like growing up, like she never really saw me cry because I would just hide,
Yeah,
and
like I totally relate to that. Like,
yeah,
all thing hold up, yes.
yeah, and so we I mean, my mom has quite a bit of health issues right now too, so like the stress from that, and then like the world, and like it's so much. I don't know what it was. It was so stupid, but like I just cried. I sat there and I drank a beer and I poured tears into my beer with my mom, and she's just like, "Oh my God, are you crying?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just needed to get my thoughts out." And she's like, "Wow."
mean, no,
I know.
I so much relate to what you were saying. I mean, I'm not saying like if you're talking to a stranger in a boat meeting, you will start sharing your emotions. No one is going to do that. You are not going to do that with
Yeah.
a stranger, isn't it? But it's okay to allow yourself to cry. And I remember I did
Mm-hmm.
that few months back because I was worried about my parents' health and I was in a video call. I have not met them in a year now, so it's really
Oh,
hard. I talk to them
yeah.
on video every day, but it's hard. And I burst out into tears and my dad was shell shocked. He was like, what's happening? Because he have not seen me doing that. And
Yeah.
kind of like, okay, I'll do whatever you say. Oh my, I was
Yeah.
laughing inside after a while, but he was in a shock because he have not seen me doing like crying. But I was stressed. I was worried
Yeah.
about them and their health thing, and I
Mm-hmm.
started crying. And yesterday I was but really stressful. We had been like few weeks of very stressful at work. At lunch
Mm-hmm.
break, I called my friend, and while talking to her, I started crying and I started apologizing so much. It's a, she was like, "Stop! It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. Why?" Like I, but I was so happy about the fact that I could do it.
Yeah.
I apologized, which I should not, but then I was still
No.
happy to do that. Like I came to a state where I can do that with the people who care about me. Obviously,
Totally.
I'll not do it to a stranger. Like I'll just stop a stranger. Let's put out your mask. I'll cry for you now.
Let's cry together.
Let's cry.
Honestly though, and like that's that's what we need more of. Like I'm if somebody's crying on the street, I'm not afraid to go up to them and be like, "Hey, are you okay?" Like you don't have to talk about it, but like you can if you want. It like man, there's just so much wrong with society right now that it's like, oh man, like if like be nice to each other. Stop, like if somebody's stressed, like be there for them or like ask them how you can help. And like if they say no, like no, I'm good, don't worry about it. They're lying to you. Full blown just lied to
I
your
mean, I've
face.
done that.
Like of
Like
course
I
they need help.
no,
Yeah.
not that.
You
Like
know,
that. Like I'm fine, but internally I was like,
they're
listen
not.
to me.
Yeah.
Listen to me. Basically,
Yeah. 100%. And like if you need that, like don't be afraid to be like, listen to me. Like put your phone down, stop watching TV, whatever's distracting you, like stop it. Like pay attention to me because I need you to listen. And whether or not you have advice, whatever, don't care. Like if you don't have any advice, that's okay. But like I said it, and if you just need to talk about it, talk about it. That's the best kind of therapy, or write about it, because I don't know, like I said, like we got so many other things going on right now that like, I maybe don't have time to talk about it, or maybe I don't really want to think about it that day. But it, I don't know, by me writing about it and posting about it, it's kind of like, oh, well, that's kind of therapy too. Like, this is how I'm feeling today. You might not feel the same way, and I'm not really looking for sympathy, but this is what I'm feeling.
yeah.
How do you feel about that?
If you like it, don't watch it. You can unfollow. You can don't listen. Stop listening. But
Yeah.
at least someone is getting help from. You are getting annoyed. Fine, you can move on. But if someone is feeling
Mm-hmm.
help from it or getting some nugget of wisdom, it's a
Yeah.
win. It's a
Yeah. It's
question
just
of
nice to
myself,
know.
and it's a win for them as well. So
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, it's, I mean, you talked about writing now. Do you journal? Because I used to journal on and off, but I am doing it now much, much regularly. Do you do journal or you use other forms of writing? It can be anything.
Um, I used to, and if I'm really feeling something where like I feel like I can't talk to somebody about it, then I'll write it.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't know. I wish I did journal a little bit more. And if I don't know. I guess like journaling doesn't have to be like handwritten or anything, but I have notes upon notes in my phone, just
Yeah,
like
it
in
can
my little
be
notes
anything. You
thing.
can use
Yeah.
any medium. For me, I am like a very old fashioned. I still write handwritten letters and
I
get
love handwriting, but yeah.
my handwriting is very bad. You'll not, I mean, you
So it's
probably
fine.
love it. It's just not read it. Like, what? It's there.
Oh, I can't read my own handwriting, so it's okay. But no, I journaling, I wouldn't even really consider it journaling, because like I write some of the posts for like my boyfriend's company too. So like, even if it doesn't pertain to something about me, like I can think about something. I wrote the post today about winter blues on the Skybands page. And that was something I was feeling, but I was like, it kind of makes more sense to put it on this page because, more people will see it that way. Whereas me, I'm just like, hey, I went to therapy today. What did you do? So journaling in a sense, yes, but I wouldn't say like journaling. Like I write about things if I'm like
any form of, because you said you take notes and you write, it can be any form. It doesn't have to be a diary and a pen and paper. It can be a voice note. People have their mediums. I was just trying to understand, like, do you have it? Like some sort of like outlet where you express yourself? It can be any medium.
Kinda.
Yeah,
Kinda. The thing is, I'm trying really well, no, because that's a good thing. My thing is that when I try and journal or like write about something, even like type it out or whatever, I'm somebody that pays attention to like every little detail, and it drives me nuts. And a lot of the times when I'm telling stories to people, I'm like, oh yeah, and this person was wearing a red shirt. Not that it matters. Like it does not matter. Or like they had pink lipstick on today. Like I pay attention to those little things. Those like tiny little things. And I have to write it, because if I don't tell the story that way or like include those little things in the story, and my brain doesn't make sense. So when I'm writing something out, I actually have to go, and if I'm about to post it, I have to go back in and be like, oh yeah, no, like take that out, take that out, take out that out. It doesn't matter. Those little things don't matter, but to me it does, to tell a story. So when I journal or when I'm typing out something that I'm feeling, it's like, okay. And so if I'm writing it out, like handwritten, game over. Like my hand just dies. Like it's full on limp after, because I write too many little details, and I'm like, it doesn't matter.
But that's amazing. That's amazing. Like I feel like if you are seeing it in that detail, so many people don't. Like people just, what's happening? People don't even have attention to people they should care about. And for you to care about those details, I personally love it. Like completely love it.
I appreciate that. I had a on top of, doing the nutrition thing, and it's been taking up some of my time, which has been great. I was a 911 dispatcher prior to all of this, and I unfortunately got laid off, just multiple different reasons, one of them being COVID. There's so much happening with Calgary 911 right now that it's just not in a good state. So I applied, I asked for a transfer to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, so the RCMP, to be a dispatcher there. And I had this interview last Wednesday. I bombed it. Like it was bad. And I think it's because I pay attention to all those little details. So when I'm trying to tell a story, like, tell me about a time when this happened, I'm like, okay, well, this person was wearing pink lipstick and like these high heeled shoes, and then this is the issue that happened, but she was still wearing pink lipstick and high heeled shoes. Like, like those little insignificant little details. I'm like, I would have been a great storyteller. Like,
you are a good
children's book.
I can tell, and you are using your story to tell. I mean, I am just curious. You just told me that you start working with your dad from 13 years old, so you have experience in working with sort of big established business.
Yeah.
And now you are trying to go to your
own way,
and also helping or partnering up with your boyfriend. So is there like few things which you really really like, there are values you want to carry in your own business or things you learn from others? So if there are 2-3 values you want to carry on in your business, what will that be like? Or
communication is a big one. Like, I look at communication as a value, because I feel like so many people don't actually know how to communicate properly with people.
oh my God, yes.
That
I talk with a lot of technical people, and I see that gap.
Yeah. And I look at it as a huge value, you know, to be able to communicate properly with somebody, and, you know, the different types of learning styles. For my boyfriend to be like, oh yeah, like I need this, and this, and this, and this done for today. And I'm just kind of like, cool. That went in this year and is gone. Like, I don't know what you just said. So for something to make sense to me, I need somebody to write it out so that I can see it and hear it. Exactly what you want me to do, you know, and like make bullet points. What is the most important thing? Blah, 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 blah. So, like, very strong communication is a huge value for me. Another one, I guess, like, understanding, you know, like so many people come from so many different places, or like so many different situations, you know, that like not everybody's going to handle a situation the way that you deem is proper. And, you know, and that's okay. But like being able to understand, my big thing with working with my dad is he was very, very black and white, you know,
Right.
like it was either, yeah, it was either one way or the other. And that's how it is. It's either right or wrong. Whereas I look at things a little bit differently, where I'm like, okay, well, okay, maybe it wasn't handled the way you wanted it to be, but like, why wasn't it? Like, I want to ask those questions. I want to be able to understand, like, why, you know, explain it to me, kind of thing. So communication, and I guess understanding is a form of communication, but
But
that
yeah,
is,
you have to comprehend what, like, I have worked in
yeah,
like multicultural area, and I have struggled with it because people perceive things differently in every country. And
totally.
and when you are also communicating, especially when you're starting out, you really have to understand like how they actually comprehend things. Like, I
Hmm.
guess that's where your understanding part comes. Like, some people
Yes,
give instruction in certain way, some other people will, a set of people will just not that they are not capable to do that, it's just that the way of communication is so different, it just get lost in translation, literally.
totally. Yeah. And that was another thing too, is just like, I he is brilliant. My dad is a brilliant person. And our relationship struggled a little bit over the last couple of years. Well, since I was 10, really, but it struggled immensely over, you know, me working for him, and not seeing eye to eye on certain things, or little things. His definition of success is different than my definition. And my sister and him are a lot alike, where I feel as though I was like the black sheep of the family, where I was just like, you guys don't really get it. Like, you know, success to me isn't like having hundreds and millions and thousands of billions of dollars kind of thing. I don't care. You know, I don't need these fancy cars, and I don't need this massive house. I don't need it. I don't like, we live in a condo and I'm so happy here. My boyfriend wants a bigger place, but that's whatever. But you know, so that was his definition of success, you know, and not everybody needs that. Not every culture needs that. Not, you know, I'm very happy with simple things. I don't need all of that stuff. And so, you know, when I ended up leaving, he's just like, well, how are you going to be successful? You know, and I'm like, well, because I'm going to try and do it myself. And I realized it's totally okay to ask for help. You know, like it's all right to ask, even like with,
Yeah, absolutely. Like, in a way, I think we are helping each other. Like, you are inspiring me,
yeah,
and I hope I'm able to learn something from you. Like, get other people to learn from this conversation, their takeaways, like whatever they're sharing. And I think it's beautiful that we come from such a different backgrounds,
mm-hmm.
different experiences, but we still can connect. And this is collaboration. So,
It's a matter of being like open-minded though, and like
absolutely.
optimistic about things, where so many people are stuck in that like right or wrong kind of thing, where it's like, no, like I don't, you know, like, I'm so fascinated by other cultures. I think it's so cool. And I love talking, like, your story is so cool. Like, not to mention the type of food that you get to eat, but like, not just food, but like, your culture is so cool that it's like, I want to know more about it, because like, to me, it's like, oh, I'm Canadian, born and raised in Calgary. Like, we never really saw the world until recently, or like barely, but two places. And like, I want to see that. We went to Portugal in February and I got to see some of their culture. And I'm like, that's so cool. But a lot of their culture is revolved around like American and Canadian as well, you know? So like, I
Westernized.
want to see the authentic like ness of different cultures. I think it's amazing. And I think being open-minded and optimistic is more of a way to go through life, so that you can actually experience that and have different ways of communicating with other people and have different value, you know.
Like it's interesting you think like that, because when I came here, a lot of people have said like they're extremely intelligent people. Like again, society's definition of intelligent, like have
Yeah.
PhDs, postdoctorates, two doctorates, DPhil,
Mm.
blah blah blah. But like, oh, you will go there and you will forget your culture. I talk about more about my culture when I am in another country. It's
Mm.
not that if I absorb another culture, I forget about mine. It doesn't work
Mm.
like that. It's kind of become an exchange, because now when I have friends here, I actually tell them who are open minded, because we get along because they're open minded like that.
Yeah.
And they teach me their cultures, that how the traditional Christmas is done. And then I take, like I was supposed to take them in a traditional Indian culture festival, but obviously with COVID everything is
Yeah.
closed. But they learn from me. They ask for recipe, or they ask for a lot of recipe from my mom.
Oh, yum.
Yeah, so I feel like it make me enriched. And I also see a lot of people, I'm an immigrant, and there is obviously there are festivals and things where you kind of want to enjoy in a traditional way, but I also see a lot of people come here and stay within that group. They don't go out and explore what this culture has to offer. And I
Mhm.
feel like Western and Eastern cultures are quite different, but they can complement each other. You can have best of every world, learn from it. No culture is perfect, I think. There are pros
Wow.
and cons to everywhere. Why don't you just mix it up and see, like try to absorb as much as you can? Like I feel sad for
100%.
people who come to a different country and not explore. It's
Yeah.
not preserving, it's not a food you're preserving in a pickle. Like what are you doing? It's life, explore it. And me reaching out to communities, I feel so joyful when I do that, when I get
Yeah.
to learn stories. I got to learn about the sports you have at Canada. I have never been there. I've been to like I explored Europe a lot after coming here. I've been to too many countries. I never traveled when I was back in India. It's
Right.
more conservative, a lot of things. But when I came here, I was terrified. But I was like, I went crazy with traveling, which people do backpacking in college. I did it after while working, but I did it because
Yeah.
I felt so fascinated. And yeah, we are having this beautiful conversation now.
Yeah, and it's cool to learn about each other that way. So I'm really thankful that you asked me to talk to you, because it's how you make connections. It's how you learn about people, and stop being so stuck in your own little bubble. Like, it's okay. Like, I'm a total introvert a lot of the times, but you feel, I don't know, like, it's the energy that you give off, being, I'm a total extrovert at certain times too.
Me too.
So that's
Like,
okay.
I'm ambivert. I think that's the word for it. You are ambivert, like you are introvert and extroverted. Like it's a mix of, depending on the scenario and the energy you kind of bounce off.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so lovely. I mean, I can talk to you for hours. I can feel it. We probably will do another one, or like, carry it on in another episode. But before that, like, what if you see my background, you can see that's my virtual background. That's my dream home. A lot of books there. So, what
Mhm.
are any books or any articles you recently or any in your lifetime which you really enjoyed and can like will advise people? It can be on nutrition or it can be on anything. It can be literature, anything.
Yeah. Like, I've had I've read a lot of books and stuff like that, but the most recent thing I think that really related to me, she actually has a podcast as well, but her Instagram has been super inspiring lately, and I honestly just like stumbled upon her, and she was on like my For You page or whatever that thing is called, and it's the Birds Papaya. She's incredible. She's from Canada, and she is somebody that has, I don't want to say like a similar story, but like she was super skinny like her whole life, like had a bunch of kids and so on, got divorced, got remarried, found her happiness kind of thing. But like she shows pictures, like genuine pictures of like her being so tiny to now, and like accepting her body, because she's just like, look what it does. Like she's now pregnant with her 4th child, and she's just like, look what my body has done, you know? And like prior to getting pregnant with her 4th kid, she started to show people like her stretch marks, which were actually just from like gaining weight and like so on. And she's like, this is normal. Like our bodies are going to stretch. Like, you know, maybe you're one of those like really elastic you kind of girls where like you don't get stretch marks, and that's good for you. But like, let's accept it. You know, it's totally okay. So most recently, like I was so sad that I found these like little stretch marks on my hips, and they're like not like the little white ones, they're like purple stretch marks on my hips. And I'm like, what is that? I hate it. And it was right around the time that I found her post about these stretch marks, which actually she highlighted in like sparkles. Aww. You know? And I was like, oh my gosh, like I want mine to look like that. And the more that they started to like pop out a little more, I was like, yeah, okay, like I've got myself a booty now. Like my hips are growing, my body's grown. I'm not super skinny, but like she made it seem okay. And that's cool. So that was kind of one of the things where I was like, wow, that was really inspiring. Like, thank you for writing that.
Her name and her book. Did you mention book, right? Birth.
It was just her, it was an Instagram post actually, but she does have a blog about it as well. So I will send you that.
Yes.
Incredible. Like she's, I don't even know her. She's Canadian, but I don't even know her. And she made me feel so comfortable in my own body. And essentially, I think that's kind of my message. And that's like what I want to do for others. I don't nearly have as many followers as her, and I don't care to have that many followers. If it happens, cool. If it doesn't, I don't care. But like, if there's anything that I can spread, is just like positivity in like every type of way, you know? Like, you got some stretch marks, they're cool. Your body's doing its thing, you know? If you gained a little weight, it's all right. That's fine. You're still beautiful. It doesn't change who you are. You know, you're still you. I'm still Sam. I'm still the crazy morning person that drives everybody crazy at 9:00 in the morning because I have so much energy and I'm over caffeinated. But you know, like if there's anything that I can like put out there, it's like go and follow her. Like if you're a girl that just needs some like inspiration or feel good, even her stories, they're hilarious. She's funny. Like she's down to earth, you know? So it's like,
she highlighted her stretch mark with sparkles. Did you say? Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's
I love it.
That's a kicker, someone.
I love it. Like I want to do that. And it inspired me to like, you know, I don't know how to do that in a photo, but like I don't know how she did it, but it's something where it's like, it's totally normal. It's okay. Like it's whatever thing. Embrace it. Love it. Who cares? So if there's anything that I can put out there, is just like spread some positivity and don't be a crappy person. Love yourself. Be you.
Anyways, I love it. I loved hanging out with you. I hope at one point the internet froze, so I hope something didn't get missed out. So I'll find out in the editing table, and probably I have to voice record like Sam said this.
Yeah, that's okay.
Just send me those links to I will just post it into the show notes. So if someone needs to find it out,
Sure.
they can find it out. And yes, have a
Thank
lovely
you.
rest of the day and enjoy
Thank
your
you.
weekend. And we will catch up on one-to-one in person in private later on.
Yeah, thank you. We're going to get our flu shot right now, so
Ah,
that's
they
fun.
can enjoy that, but
Ugh, it's okay. It's
it's
okay. It's fine. But thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. It was really nice to meet you.
no, it's been a pleasure, Sam. Bye.
Bye. Take care.